Also new this morning, a Troy police officer is off the job after a suspect is injured during an arrest. Our partners at Miami Valley Today report the incident happened on April 25th when a suspect was hurt while in handcuffs in the Sally Port of the Troy Police Department.
This morning's story comes to us from DaytonDailyNews.com. A Troy police officer was terminated for violating city and department policies, including use of excessive force, conduct unbecoming of a police officer, malfeasance in office, and not submitting truthful and complete reports. Eric Kilborn, an officer since June of 2003, was fired on June 1st this year by Patrick Titterington, City Service and Safety Director, following recommendations from Police Chief Sean McKinney and Tom Funderburg, Assistant City Service and Safety Director. Kilborn was placed on administrative leave by McKinney following an April 25th incident involving alleged use of force and then suspended without pay on May 28th following a department investigation.
The next day, the city opened an internal investigation and Officer Eric Kilborn was put on administrative leave. After the investigation was complete, the city decided to terminate Officer Kilborn on June 1st because of violations of police and city code.
The investigation is being handled by the Pica Police Department. The department has been working with the Miami County Prosecutor's Office for possible presentation to the county grand jury. County Prosecutor Tony Kendall said Wednesday he could not comment on the investigation or any grand jury consideration. The incident involved the arrest of a 37-year-old man following a domestic-related incident in the early hours at the Hampton Inn and the handling of that suspect at the police department's Sally Port, according to an investigation report obtained from the city. Misdemeanor charges of domestic violence and violating a protection order are pending in Miami County Municipal Court against that man. The officer's treatment of the suspect was clearly punitive for the suspect's ongoing verbal assaults and challenging, a report said. Captain Jeff Kunkelman conducted the internal investigation that included interviews and review of audio from Kilborn's body microphone and video cameras from in the Sally Port. A request for those recordings and videos by the Dayton Daily News was denied by the city, saying they were part of the pending criminal investigation. Now, as the men arrived at the police department, the suspect and Kilborn were engaging in a verbal exchange. That back and forth included cursing, and at one point the suspect tells the officer he was like other cops who kneel on people until they die, and urging Kilborn to unhook him so they could fight, Kunkelman wrote. Kilborn was accused of holding the suspect in a headlock, taking him to the ground, pushing the suspect's face to the floor, and placing his knee on the man's arm. As the knee was on the arm, the suspect was yelling in pain, the report said. Kilborn was accused of making a crying noise and saying to the suspect, "Now you know how your old lady felt, right? And you were beating on her?" Kunkelman then wrote that the suspect was handcuffed and clearly controlled prior to being taken to the ground. The investigation finds no necessity or reason for that use of force. But in his report on the incident obtained from court documents, Kilborn wrote that the suspect was injured while he was attempting to gain control of him after he exited the police cruiser. He wrote, "The man jumped from the vehicle at me in an aggressive manner. I grabbed him. I was unable to place him against the wall due to equipment being placed against the wall. I got the man to the rear of my vehicle and took him to the ground. When I got him to the ground, some of the equipment fell, hitting me in the head and landing on the man's head, cutting him." The suspect was taken to a hospital after the encounter, but before being jailed. Kilborn was accused of violating the police code of conduct through his treatment of the suspect and repeatedly refers the suspect coming out of the cruiser at him. But that video clearly shows the suspect going past Kilborn as he exits the cruiser. Titterington wrote in the termination letter that Kilborn's statements and actions violated both city and police department policies. Titterington wrote, "This conduct itself justifies termination."
Get the fuck out of here!
Discipline is pending against two other officers in the Sally Port during the encounter. McKinney said the investigation report said both had a duty to intervene and that neither did while the men were in the Sally Port. All three officers also are accused of failing to properly report their use of force during the incident. One of the two with pending discipline also was accused of conduct unbecoming for being seen on video smiling as Kilborn taunted the suspect by making the crying noises. And so there you go. We've got some cops there that They're not cops. They're gang members. They're thugs, for real. One is torturing a suspect who's apparently handcuffed, and the other one's smiling. Check it out. Well, that's not how you protect and serve. Well, you know, he's a criminal. He's a wife beater. He's a whatever. You know what? You're not judge, jury, and executioner, dude. The police are not there to dole out the punishment or the discipline. The police are there to take the person into custody, book him into the jail, let him appear before the judge for an arraignment, and let the prosecutor and the public defender fight it out in front of the judge. That's your job. But these cops, they want to be the ones who dole out the punishment, the ones who, convict them. You're guilty. Boom, I'm going to beat your ass just because you're guilty. No, you're going to arrest the person, book them, and let the judge and the prosecutor deal with it. That's your job. And then this cop blatantly lies on his report while there's video cameras in the Sally Port watching the whole thing. You didn't think about that. And cops want us to believe them when they tell us something. Cops want us to think they're honest. Yet in their reports, how many times have I done an editorial where they said the report didn't match what was on camera? No surprise there. I mean, look at, and I'm going to use this one for an example. The video is below in my video list here. It's just the one couple down or one down, where one of our cop watchers named Spittincobra Cop Watch, he was arrested and they said, well, he was obstructing because he didn't move for his own safety. Yet there's two women in dresses standing in the middle of the courtyard. So I guess the only time you're really unsafe is when you have a camera. If he didn't have a camera, he'd have been okay, right? Just like the two ladies that were standing there in dresses. But here's what I'm getting at. The police department, Glendale, Arizona Police Department, on their Facebook page, posted 2 body camera videos of it and are trying to say in their little headline that, well, the person was asked to move for his safety, he was in harm's way, and he wouldn't move, so that became obstruction. What about the 2 ladies standing over in the middle of the courtyard? Nobody ever mentions them. Nobody is focused on them. Everybody, all the comments that are pro-police in those Facebook posts are talking about how this guy didn't obey the cop. He didn't move back like he was supposed to. He was in harm's way. He could have got shot. But nobody is mentioning the 2 women in dresses that were standing over there in the middle of the courtyard. Nobody mentions that. Except for Community Leo Watch. Why? Because I watch Leos. That's law enforcement officers. I watch everything. Oh, I miss some things from time and again. I'm a human. But I'll tell you what, these eyes are good, and I'll catch it. And when I catch it on video, I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to tell you, look, this is wrong. And Glendale, Arizona Police Department, your officer was out of control. If he would have turned and told the ladies in the dresses to move, he would have a leg to stand on. But he didn't. He went after the guy with the camera. Just like this Kilroy guy. Not Kilroy. Kilborn, is that his name? Kilborn. Oh, you want to beat on your wife? Well, I'm going to beat on you. And then lie in his police report. You know, one of the things that's really a burden to me sometimes, I try not to lie. I don't lie. I might get some things wrong from time to time, but that's an honest mistake. I don't blatantly lie on my videos. If it's in a video, I'm going to tell you, it's right there. I'm not going to edit something out so I can change my narrative. I'm going to tell you, that's it right there. Look, we're watching it. And that's a burden to me. Because if I mess up, it's on video. But if cops mess up on video, I'm watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Community Leo Watch, watching Leos. That's law enforcement officers, to include those that lie on police reports and change their narrative from coast to coast.